When it comes to consumer goods, we're always told the same thing, right? A huge advertising budget is the key to winning. But today we're going to challenge that idea. We're going to dive into why being easy to find is actually way more powerful than just being famous. Let's really unpack why the brands you see everywhere aren't always the ones people are buying. Okay, so this is a question that probably keeps a lot of marketing folks up at night. You've seen it happen. A brand gets this incredible buzz. It's all over social media. Influencers are talking about it. The campaign is a hit. And yet, the sales just never show up. The whole thing just kind of fizzles out. This is the big puzzle we're going to solve today. So you've got this tale of two marketing mindsets. On one side, there's the myth. You build success with massive campaigns and celebrity endorsements to get that high brand recall. But the reality, when you're actually standing in the aisle, it's way simpler than that. The brands that win are the ones that are just there, the ones you can actually find and put in your cart. And that right there leads us to something I call the visibility trap. It's this expensive, frustrating paradox where a brand is seen absolutely everywhere, but you can't actually buy it anywhere. All right, so here it is. This is the main idea of this whole explainer, boiled down to one sentence. In the world of fast-moving consumer goods, or FMCG, the brands that really, truly win aren't always the ones with the catchiest ad. They're the ones you can just grab off the shelf without even thinking. Being available will beat being famous pretty much every time. But why? Why is being available so darn important? Well, to get that, we have to get inside the head of the consumer. Their mindset is really the key that unlocks this entire strategy. So let's take a look at the typical FMCG shopper. Think about it. The FMCG consumer runs on one simple, super powerful fuel: convenience. They aren't search-driven. When you're in a store grabbing a drink or a snack, you're not pulling out your phone to read reviews or compare specs. The purchase is all about what's right there, in front of you, right now. And this really shows you the split, right? An FMCG shopper isn't going to leave the store to go hunt down their absolute favorite brand of juice if it's not there. Nope. They scan the shelf, and in like 2 seconds, they grab what's available, what looks familiar, and what's easy. The decision is super fast and totally practical. And this is the moment of truth. This is where all those brilliant marketing strategies either succeed or just fall flat. Every single dollar you spent making someone aware of your brand goes right out the window if they walk into a store and can't find it. That awareness doesn't send them on a quest. It ends with a little shrug as they buy your competitor's product instead. The sale is lost, just like that. Okay, so let's make this real. Let's look at a case study from the Indian beverage market that just perfectly illustrates this whole idea. We're going to look at two brands that launched with completely different game plans. One bet big on ads, the other bet big on distribution. So, in one corner, we've got Fokus Energy Drink. They went all in on the modern digital playbook: online ads, influencer marketing, tons of social media hype. And in the other corner, we have Paper Boat. They took a much more old-school foundational approach. Their entire focus was on getting their product into as many stores as possible. And if you just looked at the Focus strategy on paper, you'd think, wow, these guys are going to kill it. They had really strong online visibility. They were targeting young people with awesome campaigns. I mean, it was a textbook modern marketing plan.
But here's where it all went wrong. The problem was never awareness. People heard about Focus. They were curious about it. But when they went to their local corner store, the kirana shops that are absolutely everywhere in India, it was nowhere. They did a great job creating demand, but they built zero bridge to actually supply it.
Okay, so while Focus was basically advertising a ghost, what was Paper Boat up to? How did they crack this code and solve the hardest part of the whole puzzle? See, Paper Boat's playbook was smart because it went straight to the source of the problem. First, they just relentlessly focused on getting into that massive network of small independent stores. Second, they made sure those stores were always stocked. And then third, once they were on the shelf, they used really clever packaging to stand out. And you know what's wild? A choice that seems kind of small, the packaging, had this massive strategic impact. Instead of using regular bottles or cans, they went with these soft, flexible pouches. This was basically a modern, more premium version of the small, single-serve sachets that dominate the Indian market. It was genius. So this packaging, it wasn't just about looking good. No, it was a total logistical masterstroke. It totally stood out on a crowded shelf full of hard bottles and cans. But maybe even more important, the pouches were cheaper to ship and way easier for a tiny little shop with almost no space to stock. They solved the shopkeeper's problem, which meant they solved the customer's availability problem. And that, right there, is the magic of what they did. Paper Boat didn't have to ask customers to go looking for them. They were just there, everywhere, right where millions of people were already shopping every single day. They didn't just market a drink, they built a world-class distribution machine.
All right, so what can we as marketers take away from all this? Let's turn this case study into a playbook you can actually use to build a brand that doesn't just get noticed, but actually gets bought.
Look, if you take away just one single thing from our chat today, please let it be this. Distribution is not some boring operational thing you leave to the supply chain team. It has to be a core, non-negotiable part of your marketing strategy. Why? Because it's the final step that turns all that brand awareness you build into actual money. So here's the playbook. First up, your job isn't done when someone knows your brand's name. That's just the start. Second, it's availability that actually drives the sale at the moment of truth. That means distribution is the engine that turns potential interest into real revenue. And finally, never forget that clever packaging is your last and best chance to grab someone's attention on that shelf. So I'm going to leave you with a question to think about for your own brand. Is all that money you're spending on marketing building a bridge to your customers, or is it building a bridge to nowhere? The answer to that could be the difference between just being famous and actually being successful.